My name is Kiki, and today we are speaking with Camryn. Before we get started, just a little bit about me. I'm currently an AIFS Abroad Alumni Ambassador, and I have this opportunity to be today's host from participating in my education abroad experience in Paris, France with 𝗟𝗘𝗧𝗦 in spring 2024. We are all unpacking from our amazing journeys, and I can't wait to hear about your experience, Camryn. Could you start by telling me which AIFS abroad program you did?
I was abroad in San José, Costa Rica, and it was a study abroad program.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And what motivated you to study abroad in San Jose?
I really wanted to be able to complete or take some classes that related to my major, and Costa Rica is a really sustainable country, and my major is environmental studies. So I'm really passionate about sustainability, and I wanted to learn about how they utilize and create policy in Costa Rica for sustainability and gain a broader perspective.
While you were down in San Jose, how did AIFS support you while you were abroad?
The staff was so awesome. They first really helped me with scheduling classes, so they were communicating between myself and the university. So they scheduled my classes for me and helped me like figure out what classes I wanted to take. And then while I was actually in Costa Rica, they first planned a ton of excursions, which was really awesome for all of us to become immersed in that culture. And the month of February was when we went on our excursions. So it was really nice to be able to be introduced to this new country with the AIFS support specifically on these excursions, like knowing that we had the staff with us on these excursions for the first month. And then additionally, there were volunteering opportunities while I was there. So they assisted with my resume and turning my resume into Spanish. And then they found a volunteer placement for us as well. And I was able to volunteer in a local garden, and it was really awesome.
That all sounds super exciting, and I'm so glad that AIFS was super helpful and supportive throughout this entire process as well.
Also, with the AIFS staff, they would also help us plan our own excursions as well. So, since they're so knowledgeable about the country and they live there, they were able to help us planning like transportation routes to excursions, safe and unsafe locations, and making sure that our travel plans were as safe as possible while also like having fun at the same time. So they would give us recommendations for places to go and then also assist us with travel plans as well.
Now going into obstacles, what was your biggest obstacle prior to your trip, and how did you end up overcoming that?
My biggest obstacle would be like comfortability. I was really scared about going abroad for such a long period of time. I was worried about becoming homesick, missing like all my friends back home. So while I was abroad, I was living in a homestay, which really felt like family. So it really eliminated that homesickness element. My host family was so awesome. My host mom was so welcoming, endearing, loving all of the things. She was really awesome, very emotionally supportive. And I also got really lucky with having awesome roommates. My roommates and I got really, really close, and we also supported each other with emotional struggles as well as like school and travel and all things abroad. It was really, really nice having that support system as well. And then obviously communicating with people at home through WhatsApp was really helpful. I also tried to blog a little bit. It went kind of well, not awesome, but it kept everyone up to date, and I loved being able to share pictures with everybody. So I was able to overcome that.
So while you were in Costa Rica, did you by any chance speak that same language? Did you speak Spanish? And how did that affect your experience, if you did or didn't?
I did. So I grew up learning Spanish from like in high school, middle school and high school. I started learning Spanish. By no means am I fluent. I just had a basic understanding of the language. And I also took a Spanish class in my sophomore year of college, which was Spanish 122. So it was another like basic grammar class. And then AIFS was great with the Spanish classes offered at Veritas because we took a placement exam first, and then you also had an oral interview. So this is actually a funny story. I didn't even pass the first module of my like placement exam because I just forgot all of my Spanish when I was taking it. But that oral placement exam, I was talking one-on-one with a professor at the university, and she was able to accurately place me in an intermediate class. So I was placed in intermediate 1, grammar and conversation, and we worked on all of the past tense grammar forms. It really helped me understand like the difference between perfect and imperfect, like all of the technical parts of
Yeah.
the language, but it also refreshed my present tense knowledge and my future tense knowledge. So I was able to more accurately communicate with the people there. And my home family or my homestay family only spoke Spanish, really, like my host mom and then her granddaughters who were 9 and 11, I believe, somewhere in that range. They only spoke Spanish, so it was nice getting that refresher and learning more to be able to communicate with them while I was there. And then a lot of people did speak English, and I wanted to be able to speak more Spanish with them, but it's hard because they see you and they want to like speak English to you, but then I wanted to speak Spanish, so that was a little bit difficult. But yes, I did learn Spanish while I was there for a month. I took a Spanish class the month of February, Monday through Friday from 9 to 12. So it was a 4-hour, very intensive Spanish class. Really worked though. I got great Spanish knowledge, and it was much easier to communicate with the people whenever I was traveling or just away from like San Jose in general.
That's really beautiful. And I'm so happy to hear that you had such an immersive experience and also that you were so open to having that immersive experience as well. It's really important to recognize and appreciate every part of the host country that you're in, and that learning the language to me is like the best way of telling that country I love you almost.
Mhm.
My next question for you is about cultural experiences. I'm curious to know if you had any if you experienced anything that was a little bit more cultural or specific to Costa Rica that you observed or that you were part of that was moving for you or just impactful in some way?
When I first got there, the first day, I arrived and my host mom was getting her nails done actually. So her grandchildren came outside and were like just staring at me while I was standing at the gate with my bags. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, like what's happening? Like is she not home?" And then she walks out and she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Like I was getting my nails done. Let me show you the house." Like immediately just so welcome, so warming. Like the people in Costa Rica are just so loving, and it just really showed through, especially their language specifically. For example, their phrase "pura vida" means simple life, pure life, something along those lines. And I just loved it so much. Every time we would say something to our host mom, instead of saying you're welcome or like of course, she would just say pura vida. And then the other thing that they say instead of, well, you're welcome typically is de nada in the Spanish language. And in Costa Rica, it's con gusto. So with pleasure or my pleasure. And I just love it so much. My roommate and I, every time we would talk to each other, we would just say, con gusto, mi amor. Like, yeah,
Oh.
pleasure, my love. It was just so cute. And that definitely made the country feel so much more home and definitely eased my homesickness as well. I just loved it so much.
What was your favorite food from San Jose and why did it stand out to you?
So my favorite food was more of like not it wasn't an entree, I'd say, but it's the plantains. And in Spanish they're called maduros. So it's like the sweeter ones. It's not like the green ones. And my host mom would make them a very specific way. She would cook them with a little bit of sugar, but also some sort of fruit juice and like kind of pan fry them, I guess you could say. And they were just like glazed and like crispy and crunchy, but also sweet, and like the inside was soft, and it was just so delicious. And she knew they were my favorite, and so she made them every night for dinner. But I also would say like meal wise, we got a lot of variety. They do eat rice and beans with every meal. Which is fine. She was able to like switch it up a lot, which helped like not stay the same meal every night, I guess you would say. But one of my favorites was probably chifrijo, which is like rice, beans, and then some type of meat, which they called chicharrones, and then like tortillas on the side, and it's usually topped with pico and like avocado. So it's kind of like a big like burrito bowl, I guess you could say. But it was really delicious, and like yeah, just like the lime. There was also like lime juice squeezed on top, so it was just like really fresh and like crisp, and then also kind of tasted like a burrito or a taco, but like in a bowl. It was just really good. I loved it.
That sounds so good. You're making me hungry. What was different about the courses that were offered by AIFS than your university courses?
So specifically at the university, the structure of the course was different. It was more student-based learning. I can't remember the exact name. Like there's a specific like learning style name for it, but there were no exams, no quizzes. It was all presentations, group work, article reading, I guess you could say, like a lot of reading, which it has its pros and cons. Definitely nice that I didn't have to study like really hard for any exams, but at the same time, you do have to do a lot of group work, so you have to be able to work together and find solutions and like delegate tasks. And then for presentations, you also have to be able to work in advance. So you can't really just save a presentation for the last minute because it actually takes a lot of time to create these presentations. So I definitely learned a lot from these courses. In general, just like knowledge as well, but also like time management skills, responsibility, creating these presentations, and then also presentation skills as well. You just present to your class all of these assignments, which was really nice. And the class sizes are smaller as well. So my smallest class, I believe, had 7 people in it, and my biggest class had 12 people in it. So kind of varies, but I did like that smaller class size because I come from a huge university, and the smallest class I've ever been in was maybe 25 people. So it was definitely a lot different, but it was nice to be able to like interact more intimately and be able to just go and ask that professor any questions because there's not that many students.
So we both have a photo as a background from our study abroad experiences. Mine is of 𝗟𝗘𝗧'𝗦𝗍's home, specifically his garden, where he painted a lot, especially his nature paintings. It literally felt like I walked into one. Could you tell
That's
me a little bit about what you have for your photo?
Yes. So this is me at a soccer game in Costa Rica. They take their soccer very seriously. That is I would say that is the biggest sport in Costa Rica, definitely soccer, which is very similar to European countries, which was nice having like that somewhat sport like culture feeling, like you're united around a sport, which is really awesome. So we did get to go to one soccer game and it was so cool. Everyone in the stands was like they had their flags that were waving. They had like cowbells to celebrate goals scored. We did win. I believe it was like 6-1 or something, like really crazy. It was really awesome. I went with a few of my program friends and then my roommate. It was just really fun to like sit at a soccer game, feel like we're at home, because we loved going to sports games at home. And it was just a really great night.
So, what has been your most exciting or memorable experience while you were in Costa Rica?
I would say there are so many. I don't even have a favorite just because every place that I visited had such different aspects to the trip. There's so many different places to travel to in Costa Rica. There's so many natural wonders. Like there's waterfalls, there's the beach, there's volcanoes. Like there's so many different like areas. It kind of depends on what you're really like most interested in. But I would say my favorite trip was probably the AIFS. It was our first excursion, actually. It was the weekend after we had arrived, and we went to Manuel Antonio National Park, and it was beautiful. There's so much biodiversity in general, so many different types of animals. We saw monkeys, sloths, spiders, like it was called a devil horned spider, and it was just look it up. It was so cool.
So, Camryn, now I need to ask, did you ever imagine that you would ever spend as much time as you had spent in Costa Rica?
Yes, I think so. My family loves to travel, so I've actually been to 8 other countries before I went to Costa Rica. So I definitely have traveled a lot around the world, and I knew I wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone to study abroad. My brother studied abroad twice, once in Argentina and once in Sevilla, Spain. And so I knew I could do it. I knew I wanted to do it. Costa Rica, I wasn't sure about. That was actually I was between France and Costa Rica, and I was really debating between the European study abroad or like creating my own like adventure essentially. And I decided to really push myself out of my comfort zone, common theme here, and go with Costa Rica because I knew I could take environmentally focused classes there. I knew that they were really passionate about sustainability. And also, it's just such an awesome country. I highly recommend it. There's so much to do. Like, if you think you're going to be bored in Costa Rica, you're wrong. There's something to do every weekend, different places to go. We even went to Panama on spring break. It was just so awesome.
Were there any lifestyle changes that you adopted while you were in Costa Rica that you ended up taking home with you?
Yes. So I would say really kind of what I said earlier. So Pura Vida, like lifestyle, the mindset of that, like really appreciating what you have. There were definitely a lot of things that I missed while I was abroad in Costa Rica. I missed about home, but also coming back here, there's a ton of things that I also miss about Costa Rica specifically. So I would just say like really appreciating what I have, like being grateful every day for being here, for everything that I get to do, and just like really finding happiness in the little things.
And I really love that you ended up taking that Pura Vida mindset home with you, and you're really just learning to appreciate what you have in your life. I
Mhm.
think that's very touching, and I think that's a very powerful lesson that you ended up adopting and also learning, it sounds like. So I guess that kind of also ties in a little bit to your perspective of the world, and also when it comes to your future career, I'm assuming you have that same mentality or mindset of the pura vida, accepting and loving what you have currently, right?
Yes, and it also solidified my wants to go into a career regarding sustainability as well. So like getting to learn about their policies and what they're doing in Costa Rica, I really finalized. Not that I was really going to change it anyway, but I really knew after study abroad, like this is where I want to be. I want to be working with sustainability, and I want to continue to learn, keep up to date with the other countries and what other countries are doing to be sustainable, and making sure that I'm not small-minded, narrow-minded with the US. I want to be able to understand what all the other countries are doing as well, because we can learn so much from other countries and how they're implementing policy as well.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, especially with sustainability. Every country has systems that work and also systems that don't work. So you could look at those systems that work and don't work and compare them, take notes from them, and try to build a system possibly that is a little bit more effective for a different society or a different space. If you could give others one piece of advice before going to study abroad or intern abroad, what would it
It would be my common theme of pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. I know I've been saying that a lot, but I really mean it. I was really, really worried about just everything that could go wrong. And I am so glad that I told myself, it'll all be okay. You're going to have a great experience. You're going to make it your own. It's unique to you. And you don't have to do what others do either. I was really debating between the European study abroad and Costa Rica. And I'm so glad that I chose to do Costa Rica because I got to experience a unique study abroad. I don't know, culture, I would guess. It's a unique culture than Europe. And I'm just so glad that I told myself I could do it and really put my mind to it and didn't, not step back, but
didn't shy away
okay,
from?
yeah, that I didn't shy away from it. I'm just really glad that I went.
So that wraps up our conversation for today with Camryn. Thank you all so much for listening in today, and thank you, Camryn, for chatting with me. Please don't forget to subscribe so you can hear more stories about studying and living abroad. See you next time.